Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting. It is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, and it is 5:58 p.m. City Attorney, would you please lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Our Heavenly Father, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, as well as the rights and needs of both the individual and our community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations this evening. This we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Brooks,
Here.
Commissioner Kerr,
Here.
Commissioner McGann,
Here.
Commissioner Gabayi,
Available.
Vice Mayor Taglerini will not be in attendance at the regular meeting.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to add the jetty removal for discussion and vote. And I would also like to add a capacity path crisis support presentation, if there are no objections. Do we have an approval?
So moved.
Second? Okay. There are no proclamations, and the presentation we have tonight is capacity path crisis support.
By the way, as she's coming up, that did not require a motion. Consensus was appropriate. We didn't vote on that first and second, so consensus is fine.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting us be with you. And thank you to all of the city staff and all of the residents. We just really, can I do this sideways a little bit so we can be with everyone for just a moment? I just really want to acknowledge how much you all are wrestling down the really hard part right now. This place where you're processing what you've been going through and at the same time trying to solve very real hard problems and putting in the time and all of the talent and all of the skills of your life to make sense of something you've likely never been through before. My name is Ami Lee. I'm the clinical director for Capacity Path, and that we provide the state emergency response team for community crisis stabilization. In fact, I'm thrilled to share with you, in the state of Florida, we are the only state in the country that has a community crisis stabilization team. And that's because we have so many storms. Except in Pinellas, right? We don't have them here, and that's why we're also based here. So this is our 27th disaster. I know you all feel like it's a pretty big rodeo to have two back-to-back, and it really is. But we lived in Pinellas because we aren't supposed to have storms. That's why we're based here. But now that we are, I just really wanted to make as much contact with y'all as we can directly to let you know you have a real resource in your community. Now that our period of doing the actual response is over, we're still here, we're still very much present, and in fact, if possible, I'd like to appeal to see if maybe on Friday late morning, we might be able to provide a workshop, pro bono, paid for by other funders who really continue to want to support the community, to just do some community support and resilience and capacity building to get us, one, geared up and a little ready for the holidays, because, wow, facing the holidays with these kind of tsunami stressors can get complex, but also just to, and this is the kicker, enjoy your lives again. You all are allowed to enjoy your lives, and you're holding on so tightly to all these things you have to work on right now that we just really want you to know that that's possible. So we'd love to do that if that's possible. I don't know if that's a vote or something at some point. We've been working actually with Chief Belk from the very beginning, from when Helene was hitting, and we were headed up to Tallahassee to go help Taylor. And when we saw, as soon as we got into the State Emergency Operations Center, Madeira Beach on all of the big screens. And we were like, wait, turn this thing around. What did we live here. What did we do? So you're the closest to our hearts. We, in the period of what was it, Carrie? It was 6 weeks in total that they had our resource deployed. We did more than 30,000 community crisis support sessions in 13 counties. And so we did a lot of them right here at your cooling station, thanks to your chief. We brought in even massage therapists. So sorry if some of you did not get to experience the magnificent mental health support of getting a great massage while you're in the midst of a lot of crisis. But one thing we really advocate for is the care of your body at this moment. Because when you've gone through a crisis mental health is really just making sure you're getting a good night's rest, getting some healthy food, and getting the capability to make great decisions under stress. So there's just one thing I'll kind of say is a little bit of a crisis opportunity to reflect on for y'all tonight, not to over belabor the point that nobody really needs a whole lot more of. But do you notice that it's kind of complex right now when your neighbors start to tell you about the storm and you don't know if you're talking to someone who lost everything or a little bit, or one of those people who's cringing and saying, I feel guilty because I didn't lose everything. And people are on eggshells with each other right now. And you don't know if you're dealing with someone who's really angry and you've got to deal with that, or who's just feeling really sad. And so how we navigate our words right now really can help set us up for a long-term sense of safety and well-being for all of us. Even just the lovely gal, over here trying to direct folks to how to get code officials to help them put their case in. How do we have those conversations? Well, one of the things I want to encourage you to do for a moment is resist asking people how bad their home is. Do you notice when you have that conversation, it cascades down? It's like, oh yeah, and I was getting a divorce, and this happened with my dog, and the car, that's how life is. And so I promise you that story will still be there later. But right now, because people are having to share that story with FEMA over and over again, and it's connected to getting money resources, they have to tell the worst version of the story. And I'm the former director of public health of the largest trauma institution in the world that had 35,000 therapists being trained in trauma-informed care. We know when you tell the story over and over, you're actually embedding it into your memory rather than relieving it. So we really advocate for doing other things that will change up the neurobiology, okay? So sorry you got stuck with the science class. You had hours and hours of whether to do fill and then some mulch, but now you get a little tiny bit of brain science. The little tiny bit of brain science says what that storm did that's still probably lingering, and you're starting to get a little bit of the emotional whirlwinds and cascades just now. It makes sense about 2 to 3 months afterwards. You're like, ooh, here come the feels. What is that? What the storm really did is it had this moment of no choice. Did you notice that? Like everything in life, you've had choice. From the time you were born, you were a tiny baby, you came out of your mom, and you were able to figure out within moments, very resilient, how to get fed. Y'all did it. Y'all figured it out. No one gave you a resiliency class. You got fed, and you got held, and you advocated for yourself right off the bat, just with the tones of voice coming out. You had choice. But the storm, what was so devastating about it, and particularly because we really didn't see it coming the way it did, was it took away our sense of choice. And that moment of helplessness can really stay. You can be in these meetings feeling like, oh, I'm still helpless. What can I do to get out of this feeling of helplessness? You are legitimately victims of some of the worst storm impacts this state has ever seen. So one, I'm just going to really acknowledge that as true. And as that has passed, you're like, how do I not be a victim to December 12th, 2024? How do I not be a victim? How do I wake up each day a bit more courageous for my own life? Tiny little brain science hack. Celebrate every single choice you have every day by noticing you're making choices. For example, this is a very long meeting earlier. It was great. I'm so in awe of all the commitment of public service officials for it. And you made a choice to be here. And you made a choice to come up and speak at the microphones for the public. And you made a choice to sit here and listen. And you keep choosing it. And if you remind yourself each day, this is a complex choice and I'm making it. We go to work in the morning like it feels like we have to go to work. Doesn't it feel like we have to go to work? You never have to. But if you say to yourself, I choose this. There's something in my past and my present and my future that has me choose this. Then you get a little more power back in you. And if we could put nodes on your brain when you're reminding yourself that you chose it, it would show it lighting up all over the place when you make a choice. And that sense of helplessness settling down a little bit. So a little tiny exercise for a minute. Just right now, while we're sitting here, put your attention on a place in your body, and it's funny, you could do this and no one's knowing it, and I do this a lot in long meetings. You can put your attention on somewhere in your body where you normally have some tension. Maybe there's a part of your neck or shoulders, people kind of habitually carry a little tension. Put your attention there. I'm not going to try and make that go away. We're just internally, I'm like looking at you and I can see you and you're moving your attention while you're doing that. And then move your attention to a place where there's really nothing going on. Like I'm thinking my left foot, little toe. Move your attention there. And then go back to the place of tension. And back to the place of neutral. Back to the tension. Back to the neutral. It's a very small internal thought exercise. You might notice a little bit of softening in your belly, settling in your spine. You might have had a yawn or a little bit of a different kind of breath. That was telling your body you are in control of your own thoughts. You're in control of your attention. There was a priest who was a Siberian prison camp person. What do I mean? Prisoner. That's the word I'm looking for years. And he noted that the one thing that he had to hold control over himself was the control over his own attention. And that gave him the endurance for unbelievable amount of distress. You guys are under really an extraordinary amount of pressure and stress. And enjoy, just for a minute, enjoy, if you want to think of your favorite song or your favorite food or something you personally dig that no one in this room knows about, you can have a secret little moment of joy. And you'll get a little dopamine and a little serotonin burst in your brain for a sec, and it will give you a slightly enhanced, increased endurance and resilience. So this is not your mother's mental health. I'm not saying let's come talk about feelings. Just saying you live in this body, in this life, and in your choices, and you're going to continue to be in this one as we go down this road together. City attorneys, finance, and city managers, I have worked with you in so many cities after disasters. I feel like I'm looking at you because my heart was called just to say, keep doing the good fight. You guys have some extraordinarily challenging things in front of you. Thank you for it. You make the choice to bring some really advanced skills to solve some really hard problems. And to everybody in this room, and you all know who you are and what you've done to solve the problems. A little pat on the back just for yourself right now. It doesn't matter. I'm some stranger saying thank you, but really say thank you to yourself because your choice was amazing. You're phenomenal. Thank you for it. Hopefully we get to work with you Friday morning sometime, and I guess I'll defer to the commission for it. Thanks for letting me spend a few moments with you. I hope it gave you a tiny burst. The name of our company is Capacity Path, and you're not going to get rid of us yet. We'll be around for a minute more. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will move on to public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with a contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. For any quasi-judicial public hearings that might be on the agenda, an affected person may become a party to a quasi-judicial proceeding and can be entitled to present evidence at the hearing, including the sworn testimony of witnesses and relevant exhibits and other documentary evidence, and to cross-examine all witnesses by filing a notice of intent to be a party with the Community Development Director not less than 5 days prior to the hearing. Do we have any public comment for items that are not on the agenda? With no public comment, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. If the commission has had the opportunity to remove or to review the minutes, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written, for all three meetings.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabay,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 4-0.
We have nothing on the consent agenda, no public hearings, no listed unfinished business, no listed contracts and agreements. The first item that I would like to call is the item we placed on the agenda, which is the approval of the removal of the jetty.
Just for clarity's sake, I want to make sure that if there's going to be a motion made, that the motion would be based upon the discussion we had earlier, and that was, is it's really not removing the jetty, it's really removing the concrete debris and rebar from the sidewalk that was disassembled by city staff.
Yes.
Okay.
And do we just need to have someone,
Make a motion
Make a
to
motion?
direct the city manager to have this concrete and rebar removed from the jetty.
okay,
Yeah.
Would that include all of it, whether it was touched or not touched? It looked like by the pictures that
it's all touched.
even the stuff that's down in the water.
So when I walked down there and looked at it, the concrete's there. I mean, did you walk, or you haven't walked on?
I haven't
Yeah.
walked it.
So I walked from one end all the way out to the jetty, and I mean, Megan she's been there, she could speak to it also. But I don't think there's no question what's concrete from the sidewalk and what is the previous rock.
Yeah, well, I think we all agree that per Mr. Trask's notes, if we remove the man-made materials and leave the natural coastline, the natural stone, I know it's man-made, I know it's
Right.
man-arranged or whatever, and, but the idea is to remove that and to put up, I don't know, do we want to include any signage in the motion, or just?
That's not necessary. The city manager will determine what needs to go there, and I'll work in conjunction with the city manager relative to some signage risk language,
Okay.
assumption of the risk.
So really, the motion is to.
Take the
to-
debris
to-
out.
to use,
So the discussions will be after we second the motion? Because I'd like to ask some additional questions.
the motion, I mean, the discussion would be before the motion.
So
You can ask the
Okay,
questions now.
ask it now then. All right. So if we move the, let's say, broken up sidewalk, we're going to leave the sand basically natural, and it will be subject to erosion. I would like to, we certainly need to replace the broken sidewalk with a sidewalk, right? Is that the intent?
But that's not going to happen for I mean, Robin stated in our previous meeting that they just have their first preliminary meeting scheduled with the Corps tomorrow. So they're just having a first meeting tomorrow.
If that's the case, I don't like to support removal of it. I just want to state that up front because I think it will subject us to a few things. Erosion would be one of them. And NPDES will be right there, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, which is a DEP regulation, will be eroding the sand. And also, if we have something there historically, and I know we have pictures to prove, obviously, but if the rubble is there and then we just remove it, when the approval is issued, we can remove the rubble then and then replace it with a sidewalk.
But a permit won't be issued for
And it's dangerous.
many months. So you're saying that NPDES or whoever, I didn't get the total acronym, they could potentially come back to us and be upset that we removed
Yeah,
rebar
erosion.
and concrete?
Yeah, creating erosion is certainly prohibited by the state. We would be creating erosion.
How would we be creating erosion if it's a stone?
The sand by itself
jetty.
We're not removing all of the stone. I think that's
No, we're not removing the stone, we're just removing the man-made concrete.
the
Yes,
concrete
that's
pieces.
what I'm saying. So you're going to have basically sand
Stone.
exposed.
No, there'll still be
No,
the,
there's
No.
still stone
if you look up
underneath
at
it.
the image, the stone
Look
will
up-
still remain. The rocks that were underneath the sidewalk will still remain.
There were rocks underneath
I
the
see,
sidewalk.
I see.
And when they broke up the sidewalk is broken up on top of those rocks. So we're just removing the rebar and the rocks from the sidewalk and leaving the rocks that were originally
Already
there
there.
underneath, that were already there. That,
Thank you.
Yeah, I would be in favor of removing any of the man-made materials. I'll just put it that way, the concrete and the rebar, basically.
you have any comments, Eddie?
I'll second that. Is
No,
that
no,
the
no,
motion?
I gotta have, I'm gonna
Okay.
do we have any public comment? Okay, now do we have a motion?
Well, I'd like to make a motion to request the city manager to have the rebar and the concrete removed from the jetty.
I'll second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 4-0.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-08, Opt-out of Live Local Act.
So Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and read this resolution by title only. Resolution 2024-08, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, opting out of providing the 80 to 120% AMI missing middle property tax exemption to developments that would otherwise qualify pursuant to House Bill 7073 and providing for an effective date hereof. That was reading Resolution 2024-08 by title only. I would remind you that this requires a two-thirds vote, which means that all four of you need to vote in favor of this for it to pass. The two-thirds vote is required by the state statute.
Any comments?
I would be in favor of it.
Yes.
Any comment? Do we have any public comment? With no public comment, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-08, opt-out of Live Local Act.
Do we have a City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai.
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item is agenda setting. Robin, I would like to ask for agenda setting, if I have the support of the commission, that we get updates at each meeting on the Court of Honor, the dredging of Johns Pass, and the status of the jetty, or of the walkway being rebuilt, and that we get those with every meeting so that the community and the commission can stay up to date.
Sure.
Yep.
Does everyone, do you,
Madam Mayor, did
Yes.
we also have a question or concern about boat docks at the Rock? Is that,
that,
did I hear?
I think that that's something in the future, but it's not. The reason I'm asking for these three things is the Court of Honor has been on
Yes,
for a
forever.
long time, and it keeps getting set aside. And the dredging is, we haven't had an update on that recently.
Yes.
And then I know that the community, from the attendance we had here tonight, will want to follow the progress of how the jetty is dealt with and what those meetings, what comes out of them. So I think those three things, if you have something else that you feel like would be important for us to be updated on, I
Yeah,
think
I just
that's,
had that in my memory. I
Yeah.
just wanted to bring it up.
okay. All right, thank you, Robin. And the next thing on our agenda is reports and correspondence.
Are we finished with agenda setting?
Would you like to set something else? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
I moved right along.
We had discussed earlier in our meeting about communication to the residents
Yes.
on anything, but specifically when you're in a disaster like now. So just want to have an opportunity to present how, when significant items need to be updated to the residents, how that is happening. It'll give an opportunity for city staff or the city manager to present, this is how we get out our information, and if there's any dialogue in how we might want to improve upon it, or just get the word out, this is how we communicate in times of disaster, or any time, really. This is the way we get that done.
So you want to do that at the next workshop?
Sure.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, as we discussed at the workshop, as we discussed, that was the plan, is to have it at the next workshop. And we'll go over the calendar, I guess, at the next item.
Could we also talk about scheduling meetings?
We are.
That's the next item.
That's the next item, okay.
On the agenda.
Thank you.
So any other input on the agenda setting? So we will move to reports and correspondence, Board of Commissioners 2025 BOC meeting schedule.
Do you have any changes for the schedule? The next workshop is not until Wednesday, January the 22nd. We have a regular meeting on Wednesday, January the 8th.
My only concern is if we meet early on in the afternoon, we are not giving our residents time to go home and finish their work and have a little bite.
These meetings are scheduled for 6 o'clock. The next one's coming up.
If you look at the entire calendar,
Yeah. Typically, we don't do a 4 o'clock meeting or a 2 o'clock meeting. I mean, I think the only reason, I don't recall exactly why we moved up to 2.
these were, I think, requested by
Requested.
Vice Mayor,
That's
or one
right.
of you.
That's what I thought I recalled. And so typically, yeah, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, all of our meetings all the way through July with we will start to have budget workshops beginning at 4 PM. We will likely have the first one, right now it's scheduled for Wednesday, April the 23rd. We may have one as early as March. Those are at 4 PM before the regular workshops that begin at 6 PM. And again, the regular meetings also begin at 6 PM. We don't really begin to we do not modify the schedule unless one of you would like a schedule modification. However, since I've been here, we have modified the schedule for November and December.
Yeah, it appears that December, is that a regular thing? I don't recall it prior to this year, but having one meeting all on the same day?
That's what we have done for a few years, for at
Yeah,
least the last 3 years.
It makes sense. You don't want to
November
have
and
one
December.
towards the end of the year, close to Christmas, people travel. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but if you have any suggested changes, please, at this
I do
point,
not
we
have
can
any.
discuss, review. If not, we can make them at any meeting.
Okay,
Great. Looks good.
good.
Yes, thank you.
Next on the agenda is the city attorney.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the city clerk report for December 2024.
Yes. I just want to say again that the Laserfish project is moving along pretty good. 3 of the employees are helping out a few hours a week, and that's been helpful. And in January, I'll be looking to hire someone back for that position, and which is budgeted and everything. So we're looking forward to full-time use of it. We're working hard to get all the documents that we've already scanned over the year in there, which will include all the meeting types from 1947, which was planning board, then zoning board, then planning and zoning board, of course, planning commission, and then ad hoc committees like for John Pass, the library, Archibald, and then there's another one, and the packets, what we have, and the minutes and all, and the Board of Commissioners from back that time. That's a lot of information, and that's a lot of research, because a lot of that talks about how John's Pass got started and all, and some of the research that the mayor would like me to look into. So we'll have a lot of information in there, and we're trying to get all the minutes packets and studies and things in there for the commission to look at. And at the same time, when we open it up before Christmas, we're going to continually be putting documents in there, and hopefully when we get all the documents in there from off-site storage and what we have, perhaps looking into putting updated material in there to keep it going. The main thing is to centralize the city's information and documents, makes it easier for the public to find, especially in a time like the devastation that we had, because back then we have a lot of, where they got variances and for the different addresses, and when the CVS was built, when Dixie, a lot of that's in there, and you can just sit back and it's like Google. So I'm excited to use it. It's not the most perfect program, but at least it'll have all the information in it that we're hoping. So I'm excited about it. We worked real hard toward it, and soon everybody will be using it, and I'd like your feedback. Feedback is what makes things better and successful. And I thank you for your patience through it all.
Next is City Manager.
Thank you again to all our city staff. Been doing a wonderful, wonderful job, certainly the last 2 months, and thank you to all of you on the mayor and commission for your continued support, and certainly of our city staff, we definitely appreciate it, and thank you to all residents and businesses. I know this is not these are obviously very difficult times. We are working to get everybody back up and running as quickly as we can. We appreciate your patience. I know we're running out of it, but we will get everybody back and up and running as quickly as we can. We need people to start back and visiting our city. We are still shining, as Visit St. Pete Clearwater continues to say, and we rely our economy very tourism-based, but our priority continues to be our residents and businesses, so please rest assured that is what we do every day. We live it, we breathe it, that's what we do every day. So appreciate everybody being patient, but let us know if what we need. People stop me on the street, on the sand. Please let us know what else we can do, and hope everybody does have a wonderful Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we're looking forward to a much better 2025. It can only get better. So thank you.
If we have nothing further, it is 6:31 and we are adjourned.